I'm Dan Ackerman, and this is my letter from the editor. Watching the Meta Quest 3 being announced by Meta made me realize something. The hardware connected to virtual, augmented, and mixed reality, it might finally be catching up with the idea of the Metaverse that everybody was pitching a couple of years ago. Seeing this $500 headset from a product line formerly known as Oculus by a company formerly known as Facebook shows how close we've come to achieving this sci-fi dream of mixing the real world and the virtual world in a way that people feel comfortable in it, and not just for playing games, but also for maybe doing office work and getting together with friends. That's kind of what the concept of the Metaverse was, all these things together, and hopefully some way to sell you some extra stuff within that. But before I oversell the idea, the Quest 3 is still mainly going to get treated as a gaming machine, especially because there's a deal with Microsoft to allow you to play Xbox Game Pass games within the Quest environment. And I know in my household that Quest 2 only comes out of mothballs when there's some interesting new free game to play. My 12-year-old and his friends are currently obsessed with a game called Gorilla Tag. Besides being smaller, with better controllers and higher resolution screens inside, the real advantage of the Quest 3 is that it has a color pass-through camera, and that's what enables you to see the real world outside and mix it with what you're seeing in the headset and hopefully overlay something digital onto the real world. Now, previously, the Quest 2 had a very grainy black and white view of the real world outside that you could access, and that was only good for basically making sure you didn't trip over your couch while you were playing. Having tested nearly every consumer VR headset going all the way back to 2012 when I saw an early Oculus prototype built into a pair of ski goggles, I can say that this ability to not feel like you are trapped inside, that you actually have interaction with the real world, you're not cut off from reality, is what all these previous generations have been missing. And that's what the Quest 3 and some of the other really high-end headsets like the Quest Pro and the Apple Vision Pro offer that's different from what we've had before. And that's the real strength of this Apple Vision Pro headset that I got to try earlier this year. When you put it on, you really almost feel like you're seeing the real world through a transparent headset. You're not seeing a video representation of it. Almost, not quite, but almost. There's only the slightest bit of detachment from reality there, but the effect is really jarring and really effective, especially if you've only used, $300, $500, $700 consumer headsets before that. Now, the Quest 3 headset color pass-through, by all accounts, is not nearly as clear and detailed, but consider this as a $500 piece of equipment versus the $3,500 Apple Vision Pro, which is not going to be available till at least next year anyway, and you can see why the Quest 3 is really positioned well to be the big gaming hardware gift of 2023. After renaming his entire company and pouring billions into Metaverse projects that were mostly scoffed at, Mark Zuckerberg might finally have the last laugh and be able to bring people into his Metaverse dream. At the very least, the $500 Quest 3 is going to be the Apple Vision Pro for the rest of us.